So, good evening, everybody. Welcome back. We continue on page Nun Ches. Now, I just did notice that in the previous class, it got cut off in the middle. So, we learned a bit after where we would be beginning today. But just to start from something, from a period which we could much easier follow, we'll start from the dot, which is the original text about 2/3 down the page of Nun Ches. You can see it on the corresponding English text. And again, to mention that you can see all the previous classes on this very website, tanyaonline.com. It's easy to follow. The advantage of this website, it's easy to follow. There's the separate scroll for all the newcomers, a separate scroll, which again it's easy to follow with a text, and then you have all the other classes divided, compartmentalized on the left side, also separate scroll, easy to access. And in this case, I'll just say regarding today, the previous part from Til Aval, perhaps you have perhaps noticed in the previous classes, was a bit more, it was a deeper concept, and that's why the Alter Rebbe becomes Aval. Aval meaning to say that coming from there, the following is much more accessible, much resonates so much more. So again, we're not going to repeat nor even recap which we learned till the Aval. You could see it again on the site in the last class, but nonetheless, it's which in brief though, this point that it's a unique type of love which a child has to parents, additional to the innate, inherent love a child has to parents. Alter Rebbe brings this idea of a child who's ready to give up their life without any calculations for their parents. And he applies it to our Avodas Hashem, our service to our Creator, and namely the Alter Rebbe says this is embedded in every single Yid. Just like the sun doesn't have it from nowhere, true, it's a unique type of expression of love to a child, from a child to his father, but it comes as a result because of this inherent innate love. And therefore Hashem said, the Alter Rebbe says that this love is inherent within every single Yid. It's a unique expression. When it comes to expression, it's definitely unique, but if we can find it, and perhaps should find it within ourselves, that it would come to a state of expression, manifestation. It's not that we're tuning into something which is not associated with who we are, but to the contrary, it's part and parcel of every Yid. Again, you can see it in the Alter Rebbe so brilliantly, if you will, places this concept, how he the terms, the terminology, the words Alter Rebbe uses to bring about this idea, this duality. On one hand, it's part of it's a unique, very unique expression of love of the Yid to Hashem. Together with that, it is part and parcel of who he essentially is, he or she essentially is. However, and this is Aval, however, this, and again, as we mentioned before, the Alter Rebbe is going to say the following message is something which is so much easier and accessible and appreciated by every Yid, because it's not something you have to search, or you have to dig deeper, or you have to take something which is on its own deeper and bring it out to expression. This is kind of common sense for the Yid, common sense for the Neshama, which is Yichud Nafshe V'Iskalalusa B'Eid Hashem, the desire of the Nefesh and its interest to be absorbed, become one with the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu L'Islachadim, to become one. Bazeh Chafetz Kol Adam Yisrael. The idea not to sever a relationship, or to know that we are disconnected, or to know that it's possible of such an experience. No one wants to ever experience that. No one ever wants to compromise. No Yid ever wants to compromise on that overall connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Become part and one with Hashem. That's Kol Chafetz Kol Adam Yisrael. Every Yid has that interest, every Yid has that desire, And how much does the Yid have it? Be'emes la'amiti legamri b'chol lev v'chol nefesh. In the most truest manner. Al Rebbe doesn't say be'emes, but he says be'emes la'amiti, in the most core type of truth. Legamri, completely, and with all heart and with all soul, which again, these words demonstrate that absoluteness which exists within every single Yid, that I never want to sever my relationship with Hashem. I never want to be separate from Hashem. Famous expression of the Alter Rebbe, a Yid nicht der will und nicht der kann sein abgesondert from the Eibishter. Every Yid, the Rebbe is referring to a Yid, which is every Yid, cannot, does not want to, and cannot sever a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The latter, the cannot, obviously falls in is a separate topic. In this context, it's more the not he wants to, and the simple example, like we gave last time, a child, particularly a young child, the greatest devastation is when they don't know where their parents are, or in a time where they are together with their parents and they're severed, even for a few seconds. We gave the example, even a child is enjoying themselves, and they go out to an amusement park, for example, and they want to do that ride and get onto that ride, and they're asking and beseeching, we want the kind of everything. And the moment they turn around and they don't see the one who brought them to the amusement park, if it's both of the parents or one of the parents, they're not interested in anything. And they would scream and shout and holler just to be connected to their own parent or both their parents. And at that point, someone's going to offer them all the rides, a free ticket to all the rides. They're not interested because right now they don't see their mother, they don't see their father, and their excitement is just to come and connect and be one. That experience is the default of every single Yid. And how much is it by every single Yid? It's, again, the Alter Rebbe uses these absolute expressions which demonstrate the absoluteness of this desire, never to sever our connection, always be part of that oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And like I said, like the Alter Rebbe uses the words be'emes la'amiti legamre, with all heart, with all soul, and me'avat. We go further, me'avat tibis hamzoseres b'lev kol Yisrael, from the innate, inherent love which is hidden in the heart of every single Yid. L'dovka b'Hashem, to cleave and be one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. V'leili pared v'lias nichras v'nidul chas v'shalom, and not to be separated and to be torn away and to be removed, or also nivdal is also an expression of separated. God forbid, mi yichudi v'achdusei yisbarach, from the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu b'mishum eifin, in no form or fashion. And Alter Rebbe even adds the word afil b'mesiras nefesh mamash. Even when it takes one to give up his life, he is ready to do so, never to sever the relationship. As we can go back to the example we gave, how much is the child interested in seeing their father or their mother who took them to this, let's say, park or so? There's nothing else in their interest, and that they would do everything to, again, reconnect and become one, or reconnect with or see their parent. And in this context also, mesiras nefesh also means desire. They're ready to give up every desire. Someone, like we mentioned before, someone offers them all the rides, a free pass to all the rides. I'm not interested, which means anything which gave me comfort prior to this is right now not only not comforting me, but as of no interest at all. And similarly, that's the point of mesiras nefesh mamash, means to say that a Yid, it means that he has to override any other comfort which by nature contributes to the comfort of the body desires and inclinations, or the animal soul's desires and inclinations, when it knows that next step will sever the relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not interested in anything. And it goes further and further, that you can translate mesiras nefesh, not only mesirat haratzon, to want to give up his desires, desires which contribute to the bodily pleasures, which in this case the Yid is ready to subdue them in order, chas v'shalom, not to be disconnected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But it would even go further, that even it means that his body would need to be completely expired as such, which we've seen it over the history of our people for the last 3,300 years, starting from Avram Avinu, when it came to and he needed to demonstrate the Hashem Echad, the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and his life was in danger, because he knew that if he's going to continue with this message of monotheism, he's going to be thrown into the furnace, he's going to be thrown into the fire. He didn't care, which obviously this is Avraham Avinu, the iconic image of Am Yisrael, but this was something which perpetuated through the entire history of Am Yisrael, from day one and throughout. And how many of millions and millions of people gave up their Yidden, gave men, women, and children, which means not necessarily the scholarly, the very simple, the layman type of the simple, in the terms of the Alter Rebbe, the Amiratzim, meaning the people who are devoid of any particular level of scholarship in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in their relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, in Torah, and so on. The simple men, though people who were very simple, people who were very ignorant even, and the reason why they were ready to expire, literally to make a choice that they would die or even for a few seconds renounce the oneness of Hashem, they took the former choice over the latter. And the reason why is because this is who the Yid is. The Yid has an neshama which is part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so it has that inherent interest and motive and drive to be connected constantly without interruption to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And therefore it's ready to give up its life for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, for Hashem. If it means, again, the choice of separating oneself, severing the relationship, or making sure that it is perpetuous. And so Mesiras Nefesh doesn't mean only that the person is about to give up his life, but Nefesh also has this connotation of Ratzin, that I'm ready to subdue all different desires the moment I know that it's interfering with my relationship with Hashem. And that's very natural and inherently existent in every single Yid. And Alter Rebbe says, for that matter, and again, which is in conjunction with what we just said, it doesn't mean someone has to be killed in a stake. And if you're living in a time that you're not challenged with these challenges, like as in the past, doesn't mean that this is not pertinent to you. To the contrary, this is again in conjunction. We said the idea of subduing a desire and bodily or animalistic desire in order to be connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is what Alter Rebbe says further, that one occupies himself in learning Torah on a daily basis without these stark, extreme challenges, living in better times, living in good times. Just the fact that he occupies himself in Torah, the Yid occupies himself in Torah and doing mitzvahs and prayer, to an extent, it's Mesiras Nefesh Mamish. It's also giving up one's nefesh, because he's not indulging in the physical, he's not engaging in the physical, he's learning Torah. He's not doing something else, he's doing a mitzvah. He's not just entertaining himself, whatever, again, entertains the body, but tefillah, he sets the time, the focus, the attention, which prayer again needs, additional to the Torah mitzvahs in its unique style, which prayer demands. And he does that. He invests his soul and his heart and mind in his davening. So it's some type of Mesiras Nefesh, that I'm moser, I'm giving up my nefesh for HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which means I'm subduing every other desire in order to learn to daven, to do mitzvahs. So that's also a Mesiras Nefesh. And that's similar, like Alter Rebbe says, just like when the neshama leaves the body, when it concluded 70 years. And again, Alter Rebbe just uses this Shivim Shana, which is a based on the pasuk, Shivim Shana, we wish each one Yom of Me'ah ve'esrim Shanim, like we live in this last week's parsha, the idea of living 100, the blessing of 120, and more so, Yimei Eitzi Mei Ami, the blessing of 180, famously known again of the Yimei Eitzi Mei Ami, the days of a tree, the days of my nation, and more so till we come to a state that the Tchias HaMesim, the resurrection of the dead, that death, the concept of death, will be swallowed forever. again, parenthetically saying this, again, just pausing after the Shivim Shana, that there will be Chaim Nitzchim, eternal life, and so on and so forth. But the Alter Rebbe uses, again, based on the Pasuk, Mleis Shivim Shana, after 70 years, when the neshama parts from when in other words, when the neshama parts from the body, and the Alter Rebbe used the example of Shivim Shana, 70 years, it doesn't concentrate, it doesn't think about the necessities of the body. Because it's only when the neshama is invested in body does the body say its opinion, I want that, I need that, or at least I think I need that, and so on. But when the neshama is divested from body and it's sitting on high, it obviously doesn't focus, it doesn't even think about the needs of the body. What is its total occupation? Machshavto, miyuchedes, umulbeshes beisatei. Its thought is one and invested in the letters of Torah, of Tefillah, of Torah and prayer, shehin dvar Hashem u'machshavti yisbarach, which are the words of God and the thoughts of God. That's what Torah is. That's what prayer is ultimately. And that's the entire occupation of the neshama when it's in Gan Eden. The neshama invests in the Torah, in the words of Torah and prayer that it invested in this world, but obviously there it's taken to a total different level. It's all about the pleasure of the godliness which has been accumulated through the Yid's service down here in this world. Ashrei mi shebalakan v'talmudi b'yodei. The fortunate is someone who comes with his study of Torah and as well with his prayer, with his mitzvahs, because there he invests in the same investment, but again in a total different level, which is as much as pleasure a Yid can have and should have, and has when he or she learns Torah, and the true exercising a good healthy prayer in Gan Eden. It's far beyond any pleasure of this experience down here in this world. That's what it says, Neshamis Yeshvin v'nenin zibashchina. The Neshamas sit and they have pleasure, they derive pleasure from the ray of the divine. So it's a very pleasurable experience, but what does it start with? It starts with those very Eisias HaTorah, the words of Torah, the words of prayer, which is, by definition, the Dvar Hashem, the words of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Hashem's Machshava, which this is what Torah is all about, and ultimately prayer as well. And the neshama becomes one with that, hence becomes one with Hashem. So the whole experience of Gan Eden, it's about the overt oneness, experience of oneness with Hashem, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. This is the occupation, the entire occupation of the neshamas in Gan Eden. That's all what it does. Like it says in Gemara Mizayah. And what Alter Rebbe says, as one said today, someone once asked, I was hearing someone spoke about Gan Eden, so they said they have recess there, they have breaks a whole day, and sitting in yeshiva, davening, learning, davening. Based on, as we can see, also Alter Rebbe alludes to this over here also in the next few words. It's not a question, because all those breaks which we need is also because the body is calling. I need a break, attention span, and I'm hungry, I'm thirsty, I'm tired. This is all because of the body dynamic, the body dimension, which exists, Larichas Yamim B'Shanim Tevis, and should exist for a long time and forever. For the reason, in the end of the day, everything is about dealing, elevating, refining the body. But when the neshama leaves the body, it's all about excitement. It's a constant pleasure. We can't imagine the experience of Gan Eden, because as long as the neshama is invested in the body, it can't appreciate at all the neshama's experience when it's divested from body. So that's what Alter Rebbe, and the Alter Rebbe continues of Hisham. Obviously, the difference is it's a kind of difference in its quality. It's a qualitative difference in the quality of the learning. In davening, it's different, because Sham is angim basagosam. There, it's about a pleasurable, a delightful experience in their understanding, grasping, appreciating the godly reality inherent within Torah and prayer. And they're becoming one, or their inclusiveness in the light of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As opposed to here, we don't have that pleasure. But nonetheless, one thing we see clear, very starkly, that the Neshama in Gan Eden doesn't have any interest, nor it has in any it doesn't even think about necessities of body. It's all about the being included in the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, being part of that oneness experience. So when the neshama down here in this world, again, neshama invested in body, tells the body, not now. Now I'm investing in something else. I'm learning Torah for so much and so much time. And when I'm learning Torah, I make sure to put everything away when I learn Torah, nothing associated with goof, body, and bodily interests and so on. I'm going to immerse myself in my learning, and then as well my davening and doing mitzvahs. That's kind of a mesiras nefesh. In other words, this soul is, the experience is removing myself for the time that I'm learning and davening and doing mitzvahs from anything which is associated with body. Similar, again, it has a similarity of the neshama completely removed from body after 120, or the concept, the idea of Gan Eden. So when I do this in this world, you could justifiably use the word mesiras nefesh, because I removed, again, this which would contribute to my bodily pleasure, and I focus on my learning and my davening and doing mitzvahs. So that is something so simple, or that's something so obvious, rather, perhaps by every single Yid. And we know it and we see it. We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands and more. All Yidins, one way or another, are connected to Torah mitzvahs. Famous Gemara, it says even people who are formerly called sinners, Amalei mitzvahs karim, they're full of mitzvahs like a pomegranate. And they have a connection to Torah and to some prayer. Again, if they don't, it's because they're not educated. But a Yid, the average Yid, is a shul, and he goes to shul, and he goes to daven, he wake up in the morning, he go to his workplace, and make some more money, apparently. But he gets up early, and he goes to a shir, and then he davens, and then he learns again, he takes a Gemara and learns for an hour or so. Which that time, apparently, he could also make maybe some more money. But ultimately, he's doing so because that's who he is. He knows that I want to be connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and because protocol to being connected with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is that I learn, I daven, I do mitzvahs, and I give tzedakah, and I'll learn more. And again, learning Torah depends on someone's schedule or someone's level of parnasa. It's a question, like we mentioned in the past, one has to ask their own mentor, like any other question in halacha, to show their mentor, this is my schedule, this is how much I have to work, and this is how much I have to bring in order to support my family, and so on. Or this is the hours that are set up for me in order to support my family, and the Rav or a mentor would objectively means like any reason why we ask many times a mentor, even though stuff we know ourselves, because we want to remove ourselves from that natural subjectivity, and this objective Rav would say, look, you're obligated to learn 2 hours in the morning and 2 hours in the at night. It's a chiyuv, it's an obligation to learn Torah every day, so much and so much. In other words, morning and night. Certain people that will say a half an hour in the morning, a half an hour at night. To the extent there is the halacha brought brought in Gemara as well, that even Perek Echad Shachris, Perek Echad Arvis, one chapter. There's those who say even Kriya Shema, those say one chapter. But again, it all depends. It's case by case. All depends how much what the halacha demands of you to learn Torah. But everybody's doing that. You look at it from me, and he's doing that. And not necessarily you look the Yid which you would imagine that he would give up his life on the stake and not renounce the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You don't necessarily see that full driven Yid, but probably if he came to that test and challenge, he or she would do the same. How do we know? Because this was the norm, unfortunately, to millions of Yidden over the years when they did have that challenge. So the Yid which is living in better times, the fact that he sets aside every day to learn Torah, every day he goes to shul, every day he's looking for the minyan of mincha and ma'ariv and a good vart, and he's called to give tzedakah, he gives tzedakah on his own. That's the norm of a yid. That is again a clear demonstration of this chafetz kol adam, this desire, inherent desire of every single yid to be constantly connected to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and never would allow anything to sever that relationship, to sever that connection, to sever the connection from the experience, to be again sever the ability that not to experience that oneness, that closeness, and being part of and included in this oneness of Hashem, the Achdus Hashem. So this is the Chafetz Kol Adam Yisrael, which resonates more than this which the Alter Rebbe spoke, that unique love which the Alter Rebbe spoke in the previous class or classes. The Rebbe continues, and this is what was established. The very morning bracha is kedem at tefillin, before Yid starts praying. And this we say in the very, again, there's different versions, when we say it, at what point of davening, but every Yid, in the very morning, how does it begin? It's definitely towards the very beginning. Certain people say mamish is this first full bracha, the culminating bracha after Asher Yotze. But again, we all say it in the morning. What do we say? And this is part of the constitution of the Anshe Knesset Sagdola that constituted all the brachas, all prayers, and they constituted this bracha right when we wake up in the morning. Even before we start praying. What do we say? L'kai neshama, oh my God, neshama shenasati b'taheri. The Alter Rebbe says neshama v'chulu, etc., which is the start neshama shenasati b'taheri, the neshama that you gave me taheri, it's pure. V'ata nafachta, and you blew it into me. V'ata aslit lemimeni, and eventually you're going to take it away from me. Why are we mentioning that you're going to take it away from me? Meaning to say that because the neshama prior to coming down to this world was also had this Gan Eden experience. Just to note, it's obviously different than the neshama which did its service with loyalty in this world. The Gan Eden is a different experience, but one thing is clear, that the neshama also was Chatzuva Mitachas Kisei HaKavod, which again, a number of places it says, and Kabbalah says this is also coming from Gan Eden, one way or another. So it's coming from Gan Eden to have this kind of drop in time that it comes into this world, and then it goes back to Gan Eden. So this is what we proclaim in the very beginning of the day. I'm always overtly one with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Hashem put me into this situation that it's more challenging because of my body and animal soul and so on, to allow the innate and inherent interest of the neshama to come to expression. But nonetheless, I will stay focused. And even in this period where I'm challenged, I'm also going to maintain that constant drive and ambition, and actualize that constant drive and ambition to maintain my oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, with Hashem. And that's what we say. You gave it to me, neshama shenasati b'tahera. It came from a very pure place. It came out to this world. Eventually, asid likla v'meni, you're going to take it away. You're going to bring me back to Gan Eden. So therefore, this bracket in time, I'm going to make sure that it's not a true interruption. It's a different type of service. There is, and to the contrary, this is where the ultimate kavanah, like the Alter Rebbe explained in Perek Lamed Vav, Lamed Zayin, Lamed Hey, Lamed Vav, Lamed Zayin, down here in this world, but in this context of overt connection, overt inclusion and absorption in Hashem's oneness in Gan Eden, it's clear, it's overt. This is what the neshama does in Gan Eden. This is the experience of the neshama in Gan Eden. So we say Hashem in this bracket, I'm going to do this, make sure that it's going to continue in a similar style. Obviously, the style of the neshama invested in body, but the message, the theme is going to be the same. Is allow that inherent and innate interest of this neshama, which is part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which is part of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, to overtly experience and overtly demonstrate my oneness, or my being included and absorbed in the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which it translates in learning, davening, tzedakah, mitzvahs, back to learning, back to davening, tzedakah, mitzvahs, which ultimately encompasses my entire day. Just to note, make no mistake, it doesn't mean like we're avoiding the fact that a person has to eat and sleep and so on, but eating, a Yid makes a bracha before he eats. The food itself, as the famous Rambam, is ultimately as well a part of the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, because it contributes to the service of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, hence it becomes part of it. Because a person's hungry, he cannot adequately focus. So the food itself, those tomatoes, let's say, that he ate, or the bread that he bit into, is also elevated and becomes part of the experience, as the Rambam in Hilchos Deos so eloquently points out that the entire 24 hours of the day is all part of, one way or another, the service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. But obviously, the eating cannot be part of the service if you're not going to subsequently, or with that energy, take a Gemara and learn, Mishnayos and learn. When you learn Mishnayos, kind of retroactively allow that eating to be defined as Avodas Hashem, service to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So and again, especially a Yid, this is the routine of a Yid, so everything becomes part of that service. But the focus is on the learning, the davening, the mitzvahs, and so on, which is a overt expression of the Yid demonstrating his innate, inherent interest to be all part of that Achdus Hashem. So that's what we say, that you're going to take it away from me. Already, here in this bracket, when I live in this world, when the neshama invests in the body, I'm giving it over to you, and I'm returning it to you. To allow the neshama to be one in that oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like David HaMelech writes in Tehillim, and we say it as well in our Hashem. So to you I elevate my soul. And how do I? And again, this is the same thing. I allow my soul to be part of that oneness of Hashem. And how do I do that? That I connect and I tie my thought with your thought, which is the thought of Torah, the investment of one's understanding, which again, this is the mitzvah of Torah, to understand and appreciate this, what you're learning, or even in davening, to have an understanding of the experience. And if I have speech, if I have speech, I invested in your speech, which is the speech of Torah and Tefillah, which we know that it's in an essential way. In other words, part of the way that a Yid performs the mitzvah of learning Torah is not only understanding, appreciating, grasping the material that he's learning, but Chaim, like the Gemara in Erev, into Chaim L'Meitze'ayim Bepeh, or in Shabbos, Kapanim, it says Chaim L'Meitze'ayim Bepeh, Erev and everything. That Chaim, that where is true life of Torah? When you verbalize, when you utter the words of Torah, that's part and parcel of the mitzvah learning Torah. As well, prayer. It's not only the emotion, not only the feeling. We have to utter the words, Baruch, Hato, Hashem, and so on and so forth. So my speech, if I have speech, I'm including my speech in your speech, in the letters of Torah, and the letters of prayer. Or Befrat, where can we have, or where is it the demonstration of that, this sensation of myself as a human being, meaning the neshama invested in body, experiencing that sensation of that oneness, is particularly when I say the words Baruch Atah Hashem, when I say blessed are you HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's what the Alter Rebbe can befrat, and particularly Ba'amiras LaHashem, when I say the words Hashem L'neichach, again as Hashem facing me, Kimei Baruch Atah, as an example, when we say blessed are you, Ukahai Gavner is similar, because we know part of the prayer, part of the blessing, the after blessing of the meal, many times we pronounce our prayer or expression or talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu as third party, right? For example, in the first blessing of the after blessings of the meal, we say Hazon es ha'olam kule b'tuvei, that He is the one who sustains the entire world with His grace, with His kindness. But even in that blessing, how do we begin the blessing Baruch Atah, and so on? The significant majority of davening, especially the highlight of the davening, the Amidah, the Shemona Esrei, we say Baruch Atah, that we don't talk to Hashem or converse with it, or relate to Hashem rather as third party, but when we say Baruch Atah, that blessed are you, that connotes that Hashem is right in front of me, which we know that Hashem is right in front of me, but it's part of my experience. It's part of my, I'm feeling the sensation of the fact that Hashem is in front of me, that I so easily and are able to experience that by saying Baruch Atah, blessed are you, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that Baruch Atah, knowing and feeling and truly experiencing this sensation, this is an overt expression of the Yid experiencing that Achdus Hashem, that oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's about you, and I'm being the moment, being absorbed with the sensation of being absorbed in that oneness, and the sensation of being included in that oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So the truth of the matter is, it's in every level of prayer, because who am I davening to? Hashem. Why am I davening? Why am I praying? Because Hashem told me to pray. And I'm developing excitement to you, Hashem, with my prayer from the very beginning of the prayer. Every verse, as we know that there's different compartments in prayer. There's the Psuki de Zimron, there's the Birchat Kriyat Shema, there's the Kriyat Shema. The highlight of the davening is the Amidah, naturally. So the entire prayer is about my submission and my experiencing that oneness of Hashem. And as well, when a person learns Torah, we know Torah is Hashem's thought. And this is what the Alter Rebbe says, knotting my thought with Hashem's thought. Because what is Torah? Torah is Machshavta Yisbarach. Torah is the thought of Hashem. Torah is the speech of Hashem. So when I learn Torah, I'm also experiencing that same inclusiveness or absorption in the oneness of Hashem. The only thing the Alter Rebbe says, befrat, and specifically because when you learn Torah, sometimes the Torah that we learn doesn't have a direct, or at least the information doesn't deal with the godly reality, though it's still the same godly reality. For example, the Mishnah, classic Mishnah is Shnayim Achazim Batalit. Two people are holding a talit. Zayim Rani Mitzasiya. One says, I found it. The other says, I found it. So you're learning a Gemara and you see two people arguing, quarreling. That's not speaking about God. For that matter, quarreling is a action which is so ungodly. And then certainly one is lying over here, which is not only in the context of quarreling, but a lie is certainly extremely an ungodly expression. Hashem says in the Torah, don't lie. It's immoral to lie. So you're learning about that. You don't see the godly presence in reality as much as, for example, you're standing in prayer in general, and particularly when you say Baruch Atah, blessed are you, Hashem. So the truth of the matter is, it's irrelevant what the cases of the Gemara is. In the end of the day, when you open Gemara, and every word in Mishnah or in Gemara, even the Gemara asks a question, and the Gemara even answers an answer which is not necessarily the final answer. Every expression in the Gemara, every nuanced expression in the Gemara is that Anechi Hashem Alikecha, is that core essence of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, which He invested Himself, He placed Himself in Torah. And it's not compromised. It's not a kind of a diluted energy of God. It's the entire God in those words. Shnayim Echzim Batalis, two people are holding in the talis. It's the same machshav of Hashem. It's a God's thought, and it's Hashem's speech. And when you learn Torah, you're experiencing the same achdus, that same absorption into the oneness of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Nonetheless, and that's when you learn Torah, and then you learn when you pray. But Alter Rebbe would add the sensation of saying Baruch Atah Hashem. In other words, not only knowing that Hashem is in front of me, but I'm saying it because I'm talking to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So somewhat I have to come into that experience. And obviously there are different times and different levels, but if we really think about it very deeply and we exercise a true healthy davening, when we say Baruch Atah, we could really have this magnificent, or the intensity of this sensation could be part of my experience, or I'm truly experiencing the peak of this sensation, feeling that I'm in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and asking Hashem, eliciting Hashem, whatever I try to elicit through my prayers. But I say, Baruch Atah Hashem, blessed are you. And more so, as Chassidus explained, Alter Rebbe elaborates in Likutei Torah, is that what I'm doing, Baruch, also comes from the expression of drawing, based on a Mishnah, a Markiv, and the Lashon in the Mishnah, there's Markiv, and then the Mishnah Gemara brings these expressions which connotes that Baruch also has bracha. Bracha is drawing, bringing down. As Chassidus explained, Alter Rebbe explains in Likutei Torah that this is the point of the Amidah, Baruch, to bring down from the core essence of Hashem, the Ata, into the experience of Hashem, and then Elokeinu becomes part of Kocheinu v'Chayutenu, our energy and our life, and eventually would be manifest in this particular request that I'm asking Hashem if it's for cure, if it's extra parnasa, etc., etc. So when one exercises a healthy davening, there that experience of oneness with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is so much more overt and so much more manifest. Again, overtly manifest more than when a person, even more when a person learns in davens, even though the experience is exactly the same. The Rebbe says it's in all of Torah, all of prayer, particularly when a person stands in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says Baruch Ateh,